welcome to this park. If you've kept up with the building series, which is probably very few of you, um, you know a lot about this park already. But this is the ultimate tour of probably the biggest park I've ever built, and this is going to show you sort of my building style. But anyway, this first area is the Antarctica section. This is called World Park because there are 7 different areas, well, plus the Atlantic Ocean, so 8 really, that are themed after the different continents, and they have dinosaurs from those continents. They all vary different themes. The story behind this park is, after Isla Nublar was built by Masrani, this is in an alternate universe where the Indominus didn't break out. He goes on to build a second location in California, in Northern California, and that's this park. So right now we're in the Antarctica section, which is also just the entrance section. And if you know the dinosaur in this game, you know we only have one Antarctican species, which is why this area is so small. I'm just walking you around the entrance. This entrance building is a subway that connects to a large city just south of here. And so they've gotten off the subway, and you can come sit at these tables. There's a restroom after your long subway ride. So this park is something I've actually not done on a full-scale park before, is use the monorails as a major mode of transportation. I know that seems like something I should have done, but I don't think I've ever actually done that on a major park. So all the sections are connected by monorail. You might be able to get a look into the fence. I put stuff in front of the fence to keep people from zapping themselves. We're gonna head in here and see if we can get a look at our Krylophosaurus. I waited here for a couple minutes and I didn't see them, so I'm gonna cut to where they are. They're behind the trees and out of sight of the viewers. But anyway, this is just a little exhibit. And you may be wondering, right when you get to a park, you'd probably want to put down your bags and go to the hotel section. You'll see how that works. The first area is actually not the hotel section. You'll see what I mean in just a minute. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and run this way across this bridge. And one thing I really don't like, my sort of pet peeve of park building, is fences that follow the terrain going up and down the wall. So for this park, I tried to keep the fences on flat terrain, except the weakest fence. Here we are at the entrance to South America section. I'll go back to what I was saying about the fence earlier. We just came here from the monorail. So we have this little queue that you would wait in if you wanted to get into the monorail. Unfortunately, we have no guests because there's not enough emergency shelters for this to be a quote-unquote practical park for how the game wants it to be, but it's sandbox, it's my park. So this is sort of an entrance area that's supposed to feel kind of enclosed in the alpine biome. You'll see how I tried to make each continent pretty unique in the biomes. The amenities are different. This is an Argosaurus, by the way. Show you a better view of them. You can also see them from the monorail, though. And you can see them through that fence. But, what was I saying? Yeah, the amenity colors are different. The amenity styles are different. And the trees are different in every continent. And the lakes. So we have a couple more shops, and then all these trees here are individually placeable. You can probably tell by their density. But as we emerge here, the effect is to open up into the prehistoric world. And I think these trees do that the best, not those individually placeable ones. These. I don't know how to pronounce them. It starts with a T. I don't know. But that building, that hotel right there, we're pretending this is not a hotel because our hotel section is its own area. All the hotels are in one place. This is a museum for the effects and purposes of this park. So the South America section, I used less wide open pavilions and such, sort of winding paths. I think that's between here you can look down onto a isolated section with the Carnotaurus exhibit. We're going to go down there later, but first we're going to walk out onto the edge of this little peninsula which juts out into the Stratodontus, but we're calling it Argentinosaurus for this park. They did both live in South America, though. I just preferred to use this one as Argentinosaurus. And Herrerasaurus is also in there. You can see the zipliners going by, and I think this creates a really cool view, but the fence, it kind of obstructs it. You can see down there at the bottom, but unfortunately, don't have visible fences in the Jurassic World building set. So we can go down this path over here to the guest section down there and also the aviary, but we're going to ride the zipline first, which will put us out down there. So along here you can also look into the exhibit. The Strength 4 fence in the Jurassic World, the large electrified fence, if you want guests to be able to look into the park, that's the best one. I did not abide by that very well in this park, because the 2 and the 3 have wire mesh at the bottom that really obstructs your view, and the 5 obviously you can't see through because it's a wall. And I used a different flag color for each helmet too. You notice we are on a day-night cycle. I build my park during the daytime for visibility, but then afterwards I add in the day-night cycle. You can see on our right, these act as a fence for what would be a little dinosaur, but we don't actually have any little South American dinosaurs. So I made this under construction because the park has just opened. You can see cranes and cages and props and everything get to be replaced. But we're just walking past these two amenities. We have a sort of photo point for the aviary there. Yes, each continent has different flags. South America has green flags. I was saying that before we got on the zip line. So in this aviary, which sort of blends into the enclosure, except for the aviary with a giant hitbox, so not very well, there's Trochleognathus, and we also have Marodactylus in here somewhere. But actually, I think it might be most of the South American, most of the pterosaurs in the game are South American. Which I knew that some of them were, but I was surprised by just how many were. And since that's our only aviary in this area, we don't have a lot of flying capacity in the park. I think we have 5 species. Yes, 5. Okay, so you can see I use the concrete barriers a lot. They're the best decoration, probably, except maybe the low wall, but they don't look very good staggered. I'm gonna run past this. We've already been. Oh, that's a good photo point. Look at that. I gotta take a screenshot of this. See, doesn't that look really cool? This is such a cool game. I mean, seriously, this game is so cool. Technically, Prehistoric Kingdom is better. But I love this game so much. It's so fun. And I hope to be building lots more parks like this. I have already started on another one that looks really ugly. The path clipping right there. You'll have noticed I'm building this on console, which is why this tour took so long to get out, because it took, if you're building on console, I need to get it to a laptop or a desktop to make the video. So that means I have to share it on the OneDrive, which OneDrive was really acting up and all the clips through, and I did everything I could and I got it to work, but that's why this is being too late. So here these hedges just obstruct the fence that's not actually there, I didn't actually place a fence there because I didn't like how it looked over the concrete. Anyway, here's a place where I did not abide by that rule. The Carnotaurus exhibit. He's sleeping right now, but what? Oh yeah, that's where I added the Tyrannosaurus. You'll notice it was daytime then. That's because I forgot to make. Anyway, this, you saw the sign for the Jurassic tour. This actually doesn't go through exhibits. This is sort of a queue that's going to lead us into, well, there is an exhibit back here in a little guest section. But the tour will actually take us to the North America section. If you stayed on the monorail, that would also take you to the North America section, which is where the hotels are. So if you were a guest who just arrived, you would just stay on the monorail, drop off your bags, and then come here. But if you are in the South America section, you've walked all the way over here, you don't want to have to walk all the way back. So you can just hop on that tour right there, and the trucks will drive you to the hotels. I'm going to go into this viewing platform, and I bet you can guess what's going to be in here. It's the DINOSAURS. Of course. We have 5 of them, actually, which normally, you know, when you're building a park, like all of us usually do, we just add 1 or 2 of the, if we're using a large carnivore. But I decided to add 5, partially just because of the movie, and I think of Giga as a pack hunter most of the time, a lot like Maposaurus. So, this little, we're VIP, so we're gonna walk into the, so each continent has its own little guest section. Sorry, not guest section, facility section. Can't speak today. Whoa, okay. So each continent has its own little facility section, and there's a main facility section that's implied to exist, but I didn't build that. This park is built on the square map, actually, and it uses most of it. There's still some empty space. I could probably fit in an 8th continent if there was one. So see those cages in the back? This is a kind of interesting idea. You're probably going to laugh at this, but I like it because it's kind of funny. You know how dogs like to sleep in kennels? Well, we have those for the Giganotosaurus. This little area, this back here, that's where the Gigas go when they want to be out of sight guests. And that's where they can sleep and drink their water. But anyway, we're gonna ride the tour now. Like I said, there's no dinosaurs here. And this drives us through. Wow, that is really loud. I'm probably gonna quiet that. So, as we drive through, it's just sort of a natural setting. It's a pretty long drive. But you see it start to fade back to the natural. Yeah, I'm gonna have to quiet down this car because it's really loud. I think this would be fun for guests just to get to ride through the prehistoric biome without the giant dinosaurs. Here we go, back in the alpine biome, and we're coming up on the meteor crash site. It's not a real meteor crash. I used the water, fuel, and rocks to make a meteor crater at the bottom of the North American section. So the North American section is here. You can see us coming up on the hotels here. I'll do a flyover here in a second. That lake is where the meteor crater is. And you'll see a tour it, and there's sort of 3 tours. So, here we are through the queue from the tour. We can look through here, sort of. And you can also see the meteor crater from the bottom. And your hotels, of course. So these 4 hotels down here, are the regular hotels, and then up on top of the hill we have like a higher class hotel that goes away. This guest pavilion is really humongous with a few courtyard cutouts in it. So I'm not gonna walk across this whole pavilion. It just fills up a lot of space. Over here is our first exhibit, though. This dinosaurus from Canada. Probably a pretty good guess what it is, and it's not Pachyrhinosaurus. It's Albertosaurus. I really like Albertosaurus. I'm not a huge fan of the model of the game, actually. But I think this is a pretty nice exhibit, an open area that looks like a clearing in the forest. You can't see any fence back there because there is none. I just used the concrete barriers for the whole back of this exhibit. That helps it feel immersive and natural, like you are the ones who are fenced in, and the dinosaurs are in their natural habitat. It would have been much faster if I had the invisible fences. I think the hotels look pretty good on the hill. So we start to walk up this little incline, and this little enclosure is our Triassicus enclosure. We have Cospagnathus and Coelophysis. And do we actually have any other Triassic species in the game? I mean, Lystrosaurus from the Permian and the Triassic. I don't. If you know any other Triassic species, comment it, because I surely we have more than 2. Anyway, so here we have 3 guest sections, and 4. I can count whatever. Okay. There are 4 guest sections that are all enclosed by the concrete fence, and it helps the whole area feel bigger than it is. And if we walk over here, this is the reason I'm walking over here, we can see the gyrospheres come by, hopefully. This is another place where you'd want to use the large electrified fence. Here you go. We're going to go on the gyrosphere tour. That goes through that's about half. That gyrosphere tour makes up about half of the continent. I'm stuttering a lot with talking. Because there are so many North American species in the game, there's probably like 50 or something, and there's so many that I wanted to include. I used a tour. We only have, and I don't like just using a big tour all the time because that kind of cheapens the park build, because it's way easier and way faster to build a really good tour than a really good guest section. So there are 2 large tours in the park. That one, and there's one in the Africa section. Here we can see Dryosaurus. This is just a little bit here. Flashlight really makes it impossible to see them. Wow. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and here we have a little triangular courtyard, and on both sides we have a different guest attraction. We're gonna go, there's the gyrosphere, and then first we're going to head to the viewing dome. This viewing dome goes into an exhibit with Ankylosaurus and Chasmosaurus. Hopefully we can get a view of them, because this is a very dense forest, so I can't zoom in from them from the sky. Well, there they are. They're right there, but we just can't see them because of the trees. They are there. Here's a montage trying to... Anyway, we're gonna ride the gyrosphere tour. You'll notice pretty quickly what this area is themed after. Right here it starts like it's another alpine tour. For the trees for the North America section, I just used the default trees, except for this one exhibit that we're about to go to. There's the fence that we saw the gyrosphere driving through earlier. But I thought that was a cool view. Have anything moving. Oh, something I really like to do that I tried to do in this park, but I did not do. Whoa, those are fast brachiosaurs. Whoa! Okay, they're trying to trample us. And they can walk through each other. Wow, okay. I'm gonna try and go around this guy. What was I saying? I feel like I'm not completing a lot of thoughts because something happened and I forget what I was saying. Oh, boss, we have Diplodocus. So I think you probably know by now what this area is themed after. It's themed after Time of the Titans, episode 2 from Walking with Dinosaurs. And that was my favorite episode of Walking with Dinosaurs. And it also has some of my favorite creatures. I really like the Jurassic Forest. So we have our sort of redwood environment here. But this is only the first half of this big tour. Okay, so here we're coming up on this gate. This next area is a more generic enclosure, mostly Cretaceous species. You see on our left that really ugly fence there that is not on flat terrain. That is... oh, inside a tree. That's because building on the square maps, what I planned to do here was just clip the fence onto the edge of the map. So the edge of the map is right there. But it turns out, on the square maps, you can't do that. They just have a huge hitbox, so you can't even place decorations close enough to keep. Even the smallest species in here, I think, is Pachycephalosaurus. It won't even keep those out. So in the end, I had to do this fence and flatten it the best I could. But this is on a little bit of a rise, so... these are actually Parasaurolophus logs, so they will glow at nighttime. And it's not a bad skin, actually. I mean, the 2001 skin is better, but... you saw Camarasaurus walking on there. Feet tall Minichosaurus. Well, into the game at least. This in the Lost World, they're like the Patasaurus or Diplodocus, they're straightened out. But in this game, they are tall, like Brachiosaurus. And I actually can't remember which one of them were at. If I had to guess, I would say that well, the game is the newer one, so I would go with the game being correct. I'm not sure. They did do Dreadnoughtus, probably. Well, they did do the same thing with Dreadnoughtus, where there's a tall model and a long version. Oh, here we're coming up on... you can never guess what's in here. This is, of course, since it's North America, we have to have the shadow. It's cool. Oh yeah, the guy pointed to it. We use the lagoon wall here. Anyway, we are inside it's double fence, so the gyrospheres go inside this exterior fence that keeps the whole area separated from the herbivores. And then down there, through that fence, is where the Rexes. Why is there a Triceratops here? You must have looked through the wall or something. I mean, we have Triceratops and Dinosaurs on the side. Here, I'll give you a review of T-Rex. I'm not super happy with the exhibit. It doesn't live up to the standard of the bigger exhibit. It doesn't do what the T-Rex should. But that's the space that we had really in this continent. Okay, so here's our VIP section. You can tell the path is different. Normally, when I built this, you'd have to walk all the way back through to get to the monorail, but I added a little shortcut that goes down the hill. It's really messy, but yeah. So here we have our 3 VIP hotels. We have the Allosaurus skeleton up here on the left. It doesn't really look like... this is what I was talking about with the sauropods. the skeleton is like an Apatosaurus or Diplodocus, where it's longer, but the in-game model is tall. And I thought it was supposed to be tall, but the one here, skeleton, and the one in the Jurassic Park movies, is not really tall. So if you're still watching, and you know whether Mamenchisaurus is supposed to be tall or not, tell me. This little exhibit here, you can see the gates open, so the herbivores can come in there if they want. What was I saying? About sauropods, yes. So, and I'm pretty sure we don't know if they're Dreadnoughtus because it's such a recent discovery and fragmentary thought. No, because we found more recently. This is our little staff set. This is the messy path. It's just going to lead us straight back to the one round, so I have to walk all the way back. Oh, that looks really ugly how the path. Such uneven. What are they running from? Do we have an escape dinosaur? Why are you running? Is it over there? Is there, like, are they running from the Ceratosaurus that's through this fence? Ceratosaurus you can view from here, from the monorail, and from the Europe section. I don't know, maybe they're running from that. Because it's not oh, there he is. We have a Compy escape. This is the same one from the episode. I never transported him back. If you watch the build during one of the episodes, it's Compy escape. It's music. Yeah. No, we'll leave it be. It'll be pretty much impossible to tranquilize him anyway. Plus just one copy of it. I don't think one copy could go against. This is the continent of the Atlantic Ocean. This is not Iceland. This is just sort of between Europe and North America. We have 3 marine species, and I had a lagoon island. I didn't really know what to do with it. I think kind of familiar. It's not very practical around. But it's basically just surrounded by viewing galleries, so that we have a pretty good chance of seeing reptiles in this massive lagoon. There's the very helpful sign telling us that this is in fact a lagoon, in case you didn't know. I'm going to take us into this viewing gallery. It's very I'm going to go ahead and show you the Tylosaurus and Mosasaurus. Anyway, our next build will have all building sets, which is great for me, but maybe not so good for my YouTube, because building with one building set is the only thing that's kind of unique that I do. There's like 100 or more Jurassic World Evolution 2 YouTubers, but almost all of them build 12 building sets. Anyway, so this I'm going to run because this is just a humongous pavilion, the Europe section. If you watched that episode, the Xbox one was struggling at this point. Here we have our biodome, which is like Northern European. We have Dimorphodon flying around, and we also have Polocanthus somewhere around here. I actually entirely forgot to add Megalosaurus. I meant to. I literally just forgot to add Megalosaurus. There's our But anyway, that has a totally separate biome from the main part of the park, and you may be wondering, how come they're not all biodomes? Because anyway, this is going to take us to the log viewing gallery. Hopefully we can see the variants. Anyway, so my explanation for the biodomes is, dinosaurs had different air than we did, and so they can't breathe today's. And the genetically engineered dinosaurs have been modified to be able to, which is most of the dinosaurs. But sometimes we want like a more authentic dinosaur, like that Holocanthus back there is 100% DNA, and that's also for research purposes. So it has to be kept in a biodome, which is why how I explain some dinosaurs being in a biodome and some in just regular open air enclosures.
Ooh.
You can see the Innovation Center up there. I actually don't like using the Innovation Center in my parks because it's not unique. You know what I mean? My parks that I'm building, they're my parks. That's what's really cool because they're my ideas. But the Innovation Center is directly out of Jurassic World. So sometimes that I don't like to use that. I wish that was a customizable building like the amenities are. That'd be really cool. And same thing with the viewing galleries. But definitely the Innovation Center, because you'd be able to create lots of unique things, and we could, in that way, get back to the Science Center and Security Center. Like the amenities, you have Jurassic Park, Jurassic World Concrete, and Jurassic World Panels. Our three could be the three divisions. And then we modify those further, and we can change the colors. I think that'd be really, really cool feature. Anyway, we're gonna cut through right here. This is not an actual way for guests to go. But I don't know where. So this, they're right there. This shows us the Ceratosaurus exhibit. I originally, when building this, I put the Ceratosaurus in the Redwoods exhibit. And then I was like, well, they're also from Europe. So I'll put this as a joint exhibit. So it's a meteor crater, North America, and Europe. And we have 4 great aliens, and then which is a really good skin. But in my mind, the Ceratosaurus will always be the yellow and gray from Dinosaur Fight Club. If you know that. Anyway, there's our little section. And on we go. We're gonna ride to this place. Except for the areas that were built out, it's all natural forest, and I didn't just place trees, I also gave it rocks and topography, but anyway, you may recognize we're back in the Antarctic section. You may say, why are we back in the Antarctic section? We've been here before. Well, as I think I mentioned, maybe I didn't, there are 2 separate monorail loops. So that was the first one. We have to walk across the other bridge, get in the other monorail station to go to the next area, which makes sense for a park size because if you want to visit any one particular one, they were all connected. You might have to stay on the monorail for like 45 minutes to get to the one you wanted. But this way, it's twice as fast to get where you want for a guest. Alright, we're suddenly in the desert, which may be a little confusing. That's because of an idea that makes no sense, just practically. You see, this area down here is a lake basin. This used to be a lake, but they built that concrete wall that stops anything, and it mostly keeps the river. Why there are still waterfalls? Because it looks cool. But anyway, they've drained this, and that's why it's a different biome than the rest, because it's like the natural sand that was on the lake. And we have different trees, and you can see the alpine trees only come from where the water's flowing down the river. But other than that, we use the cycads. And I like to imagine that the cycads can only grow in this sand, which is why the park builders have grown them here. in this area of the park. So I'm gonna go. This is actually a pretty big continent, so I'm gonna go through it kind of fast because we're already like 35 minutes into the story. Alright, so here we are. We use the T-Rex skeleton again. I use the skeletons way too many times. I usually like to just use them once each. Because, you know, that makes sense. Why would you have 11 T-Rex skeletons? That, yeah. Think about it. It should be a kind of a unique thing, but we don't have enough skeletons. And the two of them were new when I was building this park. You'll have noticed the path for the first, like, most of the park. I only had the Jurassic World paths, and now the Jurassic Park paths are mixed in because those were added while building this park. I'd already built the Americas. So we have our red flags here. We're going to go ahead and look at the first viewing gallery. And here we have Centausaurus, Sauropelta, and Sinosauropteryx. You can sort of see the Centausaurus there. I kind of don't use Centausaurus enough. There's nothing wrong with it. And actually, you may be wondering, so many good dinosaur species from Asia in this game. We have, like, Dilophosaurus, Eutyrannus, Therizinosaurus, Dinosaurus. There's so many. Why use Sauropelta? Well, there are a lot of species that I don't use because I can only fit so many in here. I use Sauropelta because it's my friend's favorite dinosaur, and also because I rarely use it. I use Sinosauropteryx because it's amazing, and Centausaurus because, so this scene was likely inspired by Prehistoric Planet Season 2, where they have the, I don't remember what it was, what would be the Kylosaurs. Were those Sauropelta then? Anyway, they came sort of between, they were the, Prenolephaly, is that how you say it? Prenolephaly, yeah. Sauropelta, I'm not gonna give it a credit. I'll go ahead and get out of here. Well, you see where the water is, you know. This actually is not going to take us into the exhibit directly in front. It's going to take us all the way to the exhibit on the right. We have a viewing dome. Saying too much now. There we have it. The Dinosaurus, the giant duck with 8 arms. Sorry, 8-foot arms, not 8 arms. Is it safe to have just a thin layer of glass separating us from a 6-ton, 2-foot man with gigantic claws? No. Is it my park? Yes. We're going to head back over here, and we're going to go into the viewing gallery so we can see our next species, and the final one in this area. Not in the Asian section, just in this area of it. We have this central pavilion, and then we have a guest section that's sort of isolated on each side, on the left and right. And then we have another section of biodomes. All the biodomes, I use 6 aviary sections to make them identifiable as not just a regular aviary. I couldn't get a view of him, so here's the Gingisaurus. I think that's right. I don't get why people really like Gingisaurus. To me, there's not a lot that's super unique about them. I mean, they've become really popular in recent years, but I don't get what makes everybody like Gingisaurus so much more than other medium theropods. Even other medium tyrannosaurids. But I did decide to use them, partially because I don't use them a lot. I was going to use Eutyrannus there. And decision, I like Eutyrannus better. And then we'd have all the other species pack. This path looks so good. That's so good. It's so much more detailed than the paths. Here's our little guest section. The side I was talking about. You'll notice I use the staff center a few times in this part. Because I think it looks like a guest building. It could totally be like a guest help center. Here's another time I did not abide by my own to use the large electrified fence for guests to use through directly into an exhibit. I think that monorail should actually looks pretty good. You'll see a couple places where monorail track is no pillage because there's things placed underneath it. And that's kind of, usually that's not good. But in this case I like to use it because it looks unique and it's not too ridiculous. And anyway, we have this little seating section here. I'm gonna run to get over to the other side because this is a big building that we need to cross. Pushes and run. Actually, when you're running in this game, you're going faster than all cars except for the big team. Close to as fast as it's kind of ridiculous. The person's running over. Alright, you see this high security enclosure in front of us. Oh, there, you heard what's in there. These are our velociraptor. We get a better view of it up here. You can view it from the monorail. There's two spaces for defense, that's one of them, and there's a viewing gallery. Alright, so there, through that little opening in the concrete fence, that's our isolated facility section. I just noticed how uneven the fence is on the top of the river basin. That's really annoying. I would have liked to build a better, more convincing retaining wall, but there wasn't room, and if I tried to make room, it would not look good. I mean, this doesn't look at all realistic to have just the entire river being stopped by a little water. It's fine. So we're gonna maybe get a goal. And the river cuts through their exhibit, which I think looks pretty cool. Because I like to imagine that raptors can't swim, and where the river goes to the fence, that's a weak fence, and you'd think the raptors could break that, but they can't, because there's the river, so they can't like stand in a really fast river. Here, just assuming it's this bridge, and we're gonna pass these amenities, and there's this biodome here. This is where we have 3 species. We have over 20 Jailopterus, which you can still barely see. You have some Xeropteryx, as you can see there. And we also have DINOSAURS, because you have to have DINOSAURS every single part. We have 2 Theras in here. I meant to just make 1, but I didn't want the 2022 skin, and I actually made the first one with the 2022 skin. So then I made another one. Okay, so that takes us to our next area. So the Africa section consists of a big main street right here, and what's called, what I like to call the living systems biome, where if you know like Nile River, early Cretaceous, say, place where the Sahara is kind of swampy, kind of deserty, where Spinosaurus and Carcharodontosaurus, Iptosaurus, and those, they lived. That was a ton of carnivores biome. So the Critters was part tried to see if they could create a stable biome based on that. And so this is also, you know, this part would serve as scientific purposes too, for research purposes. So we're gonna see where we have a big tour that goes through the living systems biome. And yeah, that's our big tour here. And I thought that was a pretty cool idea, and also pretty easy to build. Tours look really good, and they're far faster. I'm not trying to take the shortcut all the time, because that's not really how it works. But I think it's, like, sometimes you gotta give yourself a break. So you see where the tour is, it's sort of right on the lead on that. We still use the same biome here. That's the silver basin. See the basin? It's the same biome as the Asia section, but just different flags. Ledge since yes. Or any vehicle that's actually screenshot of this. This tour. This is a very long video. I doubt many of you are still watching. If you're still watching right here, comment hello there in the comments. Okay, I'm just gonna walk back because our card disappeared. See if we can see any of the dinosaurs from here. So, is anybody else having that glitch with the tour vehicles where you can't drive in first person? Like, I can't accelerate. Oh, there's your Like, surely none of you are still watching. The average view retention rate on these videos are like a minute and a half. I'm not sure why. I know I'm just starting making videos, but that's really, really low. Alright, the next continent is the smallest continent, but it's actually probably my favorite. This continent looks really good. I'd like to build a theme park in this style. Instead of doing like a Badlands thing, because we already did 2 continents in the desert, I used the ginkgo trees, which is a really cool mix of prehistoric and modern blueprint. We used the zip lines again. So what starts at this little guest section, which, blocked only by planters, overlooks the Motoburnosaurus exhibit. And it's on a little bit of a basin, so the Motoburnosaurus can't step over these planters. Realistically, can they? Probably. Is it my park? Yes. You can see the lagoon wall back there that functions as the back wall for that exhibit. There's a few dinosaurs. I don't actually know what dinosaurs. It's really high quality. It looks like one of those really well-made dinosaurs. Like it looks like LA Studios made it or something. Instead of it, like the style that doesn't fit with the rest of the dinosaurs in the game. And I kind of like it, but I don't use it all that often. I mean, it's definitely better than Monosaur. Anyway, here we have all three skeletons doing like a sort of fight scenario thing. We're going to walk up this incline to the top of the hill where we can ride the zip line over the Great Barrier Reef Lagoon with Kronosaurus and Australornithinator exhibit, which borders the Motosaurus exhibit. Well, we're 52 minutes in, and I'm saying a lot already. I'm gonna walk over these zip lines. And we have one coming back, obviously, because otherwise all the guests would be trapped with the 2 minutes. Here are Australian. It's a really good species. Its face does look kind of weird. But it's really nice to have a Megaraptor in. I wish we had actually a Megaraptor. The other larger Megaraptorids. They're really cool and really scary. It looks really, really cool. I like that. Here's our Kronosaurus. I tried to use the Orca sort of pattern with the black and white, but in the skin previews, if you select the white pattern, that's the yellow, which is still a good pattern, but it's not the Kronosaurus that I meant to create. Try to get a screenshot here, or just spin around endlessly. Alright, there we go. Oh, or not, I'm guessing. Wow, it took a long time to get a good screenshot. I don't even know if this will be on the thumbnail. If you're still watching, high five. You've watched 54 minutes of me talking. I'm just gonna place down for the person view right here. This was just going to be a turnaround, and I had a little bit of space that I was going to make an under construction exhibit, and I was going to throw them in my Motosaurus. But this exhibit was like a really nice space to live in. So I did go through this without a this study without a proper under construction area, which I like to build because parts are finished. Anyway, thank you all for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to do a little flyover and we're going to credits. Thank you. Please subscribe so we can grow the channel.